All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for those officers. Can't imagine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now my distinct pleasure to introduce the man who will be the next congressman from the city of New York. Governor Cuomo was dragged kicking and screaming to provide an election date to fill the vacancy on Staten Island and in Brooklyn. It was my old home district, and it's the 11th CD here in New York. It's going to be May 5th, so if you're living in that district, make sure you get out and vote. And Dan Donovan, who will also deliver here the Abraham Lincoln Address. He's been one of Staten Island's top prosecutors. He's been Staten Island's top prosecutor since 2003, a proven crime fighter who's helped to make Staten Island the safest borough in the largest city in America. And he's the Republican and conservative candidate for that seat in the 11th CD. And again, the election is on May 5th. He just came up to Queens from a grand opening of his Staten Island and Brooklyn campaign headquarters this morning. Welcome, DA Donovan, as we give him our full support for a stunning victory. We look forward to sending him to Washington to provide the leadership, honor, and character that Congress urgently needs. And we are thrilled to have him deliver the annual Lincoln Address here at our Lincoln Dinner.
Thank you so very much, and let me first start off by congratulating the Queens Village Republican Club for honoring these four brave individuals who every day sacrifice their lives for ours. That's all right. We'll figure this out. You should be commended for it, because too many times these men and women are being insulted, being criticized daily for going out, protecting our families. One of the things that I am so proud of having is the support of so many of the police unions and fire unions. And one of the things that I promised these men and women, that we would fight for their disability pay. It's amazing. It's amazing to think that as they have our backs, our city and our government have turned their backs on them. Some of these young men and women who are joining these forces now, if they, God forbid, are hurt during the course of their duties, will receive $27 a day. That's the new contract with them. Something has to be done for that. And I had promised and pledged to these men and women that I would do everything in my power as a congressman in the 11th District to protect their families as they protect ours. I want to just acknowledge my good friend, Chris Gibson. Chris has been following me around on the campaign. I think the speaker sent him around to make sure I'm working hard. Chris was just at my opening in Brooklyn. I opened a headquarters in Staten Island. I marched in a St. Patty's Day parade in Bay Ridge, and I went to a Holocaust memorial groundbreaking, and it's only 4 o'clock. I do have to go home. I have an 88-year-old mom who has dementia. I have to go home and fix her medications after my speech now, and then go do a couple of nighttime events. But I do appreciate my friends from Queens inviting me and allowing me to come out to speak for a few minutes to you. Nobody here, maybe you have some relatives or friends who live in the 11th Congressional District, but for most of you, you're just asking for good government in another congressional district. And that's what I hope to give you. Thank you. People ask me, actually I'll tell you the truth, it was at a New York Times editorial board. New York Times has never endorsed the Republicans as far as I know. But we go to their editorial boards, there was about 15 people there, and afterwards 3 of the women on the editorial boards stayed back and said to me, "So tell me, why are you Republican?" And I said, well, for one, I think you should choose what doctor you go to. The government shouldn't decide that for you. And secondly, you ought to choose what school you want your child to be educated in. We shouldn't do that for you. And finally, you spend your money better than we do. We buy toilet seats that cost $9,000. I don't know why we do, but we do. And that's why I'm a Republican, and I'm sure that's why so many of you in this room are Republicans as well. We are the minority in this city, In fact, even in Staten Island, which they think is the most conservative Republican borough of the 5, the voter registration is still 5-3, Democrats or Republican. But because of rooms like this and the people in them, we're able to elect Republicans in our city. Not enough of them, but we're able to elect Republicans. I've been fortunate enough to have been in office now for 12 years as the DA of Staten Island. I was the deputy borough president there for 2 years before that. And I was chief of staff to a guy some of you may remember, Guy Molinari, when Guy was borough president of Staten Island. So I've come up through Republican roots, and I've been trained by some of the best Republicans that have been in our area for many, many years. So I decide now at 58 years old, now as DA I run every 4 years. I go home every night. I decided at 58 years old not only to run for Congress, but I'm having my very first baby ever. Yeah, so now I only say that, first of all I say that to get women to vote for me. And the other reason I say that is because the reason I'm doing this is because I need to sleep 3 nights a week when I'm down in Washington. But the baby's the reason why I want to do this. Actually, the election's May 5th and the baby's coming May 24th. And it's because it's his birthday that we're having that baby May 24th. You know, people say, why would you want to do this? The baby's probably the most important reason. I am now bringing a child into this world for the first time. And I want to make sure our world is okay for that child. I can't say him or her because it's the only surprise we have. We don't know what it is. But I'm bringing a child into this world. I want to make sure that my child will be okay. I want to make sure that I can pay for this child's education 18 years from now. I want to make sure that my child has the health care that I choose for that child, not our government chooses. That's the reason why I'm running for Congress. And I certainly, even though you're not in the district, most of you don't live in the district, I certainly can use your support and your help. You know, there's a story about Tip O'Neill, when Tip was the Speaker of the House. And he had been in office for so many years. And he's going into his home on election day, and he waved to the woman across the street, and he said, Mrs. McGillicuddy, thank you so much for voting for me today. She said, I didn't vote for you. He said, I've lived across the street from you for 40 years. You didn't vote for me? She said, you didn't ask me. Most of you in this room can't vote for me, but I am asking for your help. It's going to be such a low turnout. I have friends of mine who think the election is in November. Anyone could take this race. And the thing that puts fear in my heart more than anything else is when people say, oh, you're going to win anyhow. All of you in this business know that's the worst thing you can hear. I tell people, if you vote for me, I'll win by 1 more. But I do need your help. And you have supported me in the past because about 5 years ago, I had this crazy idea of running for Attorney General of New York State. I don't know if any of you remember that. And because, thank you. And because I'm still the DA of Staten Island, I guess you know how that one turned out, right? But you elected great leaders like Bob Turner, when people didn't think Bob Turner could get elected. You have people right in this room like Eric Ulrich, who was elected one of the few Republican members of the New York City Council. So you can do it. You're good at it. And I'm asking for your help to help me become the next congressman in the 11th Congressional District. I'm going to go fix Mom's medicine, and then I'm going to go to 2 more events on Staten Island. But I do appreciate the time that you've allowed me to come to be with you. I thank you for the support that you will give me. I thank you for the support you've given me in the past. And I certainly thank you for honoring the brave men and women in the New York City Police Department and the Fire Department in our city. They protect us every day. Let's make sure they feel the love that we have for them. Thank you so very, very much.